Wow. All I can say is wow. So, this is from Scott Agness, an article here where this for me is probably one of the biggest lows that the Indiana Fever have done, because they're trying to make this whole thing so secretive and they're sending a message again. Any reporting, factually correct or not, that is against us. Because, by the way, there is no way in hell that when it comes to Scott Agness, that he got this story that wrong. Because let's not forget, Scott Agness is the only reporter to report Caitlin Clark's injury correctly last year. Multiple reporters incorrectly reported Caitlin Clark's injury. Scott Agness is the only one who did the ankle injury. Scott Agness is the only person who has gone and basically has gone and said what Aaliyah Boston's injury. If it wasn't for Scott Agness, we would think Aaliyah Boston has a mystery injury and we wouldn't know why she has a minutes restriction. She has a minutes restriction because she dealt with a meniscus injury. And it's one of these things where the Fever PR informed him via email his credential access to the team events has been revoked. He says due to spread of inaccurate and unsubstantiated information, Jesus, and cited my tweet about Caitlin Clark. So what he tweeted: Fever guard will not play. I'm told it's part of a strategic management plan for the season. Tonight is the Fever's fourth game in 8 days. So, basically he said, this is what he said. It says here, here's a portion of that story. Clark was visible at practice, but White said Clark didn't participate. She got treatment yesterday and went through workouts after practice, she said. I reported earlier that there was no new injury or concern. White confirmed that. She's healthy, said White. We're not managing anything. This is just a back issue. I want to make sure it's time to give time to be ready. I also wrote as part of a strategic management plan for Clark, who missed all but 13 games, that was not to insinuate low management, but rather emphasize precautionary measure given what she experienced last season. This is Indiana's fourth game in 8 days. And guys, honestly, this guy's been reporting accurately, so go subscribe to him. Fourth game in 8 days, she's playing 31 minutes per game. This is how reporting works. Report the news, gather context, speak with sources, update readers on new information. Given the intense attention surrounding Fever and Clark, who went from not appearing on the injury report to being ruled out, I believe it's important to provide context rather than allow speculation and misinformation to fill the void. Here was Clark on her back. I don't think necessarily started at a certain point. He's just been over the course of the last year, been understanding my body more. Fever took a specific issue with the phrase strategic management plan. That's their right. However, it's consistent with what their team has been publicly emphasizing since last season, keeping the big picture in mind, taking a cautious approach. The next day, Fever received a warning regarding their injury reporting. Obviously, is what Clark says, this reflects the reporting attempted to explain from the beginning, a team and player balancing short-term availability with long-term health. People can disagree with the wording or interpretation. That's part of the relationship between teams and media, which should not be in dispute that this reporting was sourced, that it was updated, and as new information became available, the readers were given full context. The situation also comes against the backdrop of the relationship with the Pacers before the start of his relationship with the Pacers. Before the start of the 23-24 season, his access to the team inexplicably shifted overnight after being one of the only one to cover every training camp practice, from daily access to weekends only. Following the All-Star break, restrictions increased to no access. He was taken off email distribution list because he parked in the media lot without the appropriate pass or clearance. That's not true. When I arrived, I was informed, or I was welcomed by the regular attendant, shown where to park. Look, obviously they have an issue with Scott Agness and they were looking for a reason. He was the only indie reporter at Owner's Hall of Fame introduction, or Herb Simon's Hall of Fame introduction, the only basketball reporter to cover Clark playing the Annika Pro-Am each of the last 2 years, all while being independent. Then every Fever training camp, yada yada. Longest tenure writer covering the Pacers or Fever. Work received more than 7.3 million views in the last month. And I'm going to be honest here. His work has received more than 7.3 million views in the last month, or in the last year, sorry. But you also have to take into account that, if we're being honest, secondary sources, he's going to be a primary source. He's there in a lot of situations. And as a secondary source, you add another 3 to 4 million minimum, as in people reporting on what he's saying. You add another 3 to 4 million minimum as a secondary source quoting him. There's far more to cover team what happens during games, our off-season developments, community initiative, sponsored media rights, covered Fever since 2013. I'm going to be real here. In this case, I felt you deserve transparency. People have, in the media, have been urging him to go public about these issues with patients from the beginning. Held off as I hope to be resolved privately. And until May 20th, I had a good relationship with the Fever. Given recent events, I believe readers deserve full context. Is my livelihood? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is bullshit. This is bullshit. Obviously, something might have happened with the Pacers. And I don't think the Fever were happy. I don't think the Indiana Fever were happy. Because pretty much he was the one that let everybody know what was going on. He was the one who let everyone know what was going on with Aaliyah Boston. And look, I'm being real here. This feels like it sets the precedent of you either have to be fully with us and pro Fever and for lack of a better word, push any propaganda you're asked, or you're gone. And that's the thing where it's like, we've seen it when it comes to Indiana, when it comes to the Fever, that there has absolutely been situations where different people have, the media has quoted different things. Scott Agness will report one thing, someone else will report something else, someone else will report something different. And most of the time, Scott Agness has been the one that's right. I think that's the biggest issue with all this, is that when it comes down to it, if this was a situation where, okay, we don't know who's been right, we don't know who's been wrong, where a bunch of people are giving their opinion on things, and it's hard to find the truth out of all this, in more often than not, the person that's right is Scott Agness. And that has to be taken into account. That again, more often than not, he's the one that's right. So yes, if it turns out, yes, maybe he's not a saint. Maybe there's reasons why the Indiana Fever are removing his credentials. Maybe there's other reasons that we are not privy to as the general public. But it feels like it is from a fan perspective, because let's be real, we all know who these reporters are. We know who these independent journalists are. We know who all these people are because they are the ones covering the team. It feels from the outside looking in like the Indiana Fever have essentially just said, you go against us and what we want to show, the narrative we want to show, you're done. You're done. And the craziest part is that I wouldn't be surprised if Nancy Armour, if she wanted to get a credential to something for the Indiana Fever, they probably would give it to her. I can guarantee you're going to see credentials be given to people that wrote hit pieces about a certain player on their team. It is what it is. And it's like it's funny, people are thinking, I don't love, like Scott Agness with the whole, going mad about the Indiana Fever fans, like he worded that badly. Like, and people are being like going out of their way to say, people genuinely have like turned on Scott Agness. And even though even with what the guy's been saying, I haven't loved a lot of the stuff the guy said. That being said, we have to be very, very clear. He was the best of them. He got us the most information. He was the one that was accurate. And whatever you want to think about what he has said, he was, of all the people covering the Fever. And let's be real, if a lot of your job is covering the Fever, for that part of your job, if your job is getting us information about the team, he was the best at it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys.